let me start recording. So today we're going to lift state. Okay, that's our agenda. We got attendance. Well, I'm going to review the on-change event also. I want to make sure everyone kind of wraps their head around the events, the supporting method, and then the updating state, right? Should take us maybe like no more than 10 minutes to kind of just go through that review. Then we will, passing methods. Oh man, I thought I updated this one. Hold on. Hope I didn't update the other one. Homework spreadsheet, breakout rooms, events on change, nested state. No. Oh, so let me just go in here real quick and this is what we're doing. Review on change. We are going to, oh yeah, pass methods as props. It is I just saw props in my brain. Went, oh, we're still doing props. Then we're going to lift state. Okay, and then we'll wrap up with exit tickets. I'm just going to do a little exit ticket kind of feedback. I did ask for exit tickets. I asked for everyone to maybe fill one out if you didn't get a chance to. Just saying, pace was pretty good. They could follow along. Breakout rooms are a great way. I'm bringing this up only because breakout rooms were mentioned separately in 3 separate ones. So breakout rooms are a great way to get to know each other and to utilize each other's skills. Sharing screens and perhaps working on another screen might be a better learning experience. Now, I'm going to point that out is when we do go into a breakout room later, and there's a few of you, what I suggest is one, share their screen, and the others kind of walk through the code process, talk about it. You can still write, but one person should have I think it worked effectively. I jumped into one breakout room and that's what was going on and it was really effective. Everyone was talking and it was nice to see one person kind of typing it out. I enjoyed working in groups in the last lab, even though we ran out of time. We did. I wish I saved more time for that. And then changing up the breakout rooms. I thought I did random, but I must have just added people manually and added them in the same kind of row order. So I'm going to do random this time. So hopefully you'll be paired with someone else, okay? Just the way it happens. Sometimes random isn't as random as you think it is. Review, capturing input. So I want to review the objectives here are adding an on-change event to input elements that calls the handle change method and then creating and configuring the handle change method, okay? Now I'm going to do this on our to-do list, right? We haven't really hit this. We haven't done the to-do list in some time. That wasn't part of the last lab. I think it was one component, but this is our 4-component thing, right? This is where we have 4 components instead of 1. So I'll just select this out. Click to have, yep. And Abdul just slacked out that you can click to have multiple users work on the same code sandbox in real time using this little icon here, this live icon. It'll give you a URL. You share the URL, and then everyone can jump in. Maybe we'll give that a shot. I don't know if there's a limit or not on how many people. I think there might be a limit. But you also need to be signed in to GitHub as well. All right, so this is what I'm working on. I'm going to be doing the coding here, and then let's see. Actually, you know what? Maybe I will. Let me try go live. Maybe this is a great opportunity. All right, anyone can edit, right? Sweet. And where do I get the link? Abdul, do you know where I get the link?
Right above stop session.
What's that? Oh, right here. Sweet. All right, how about I Slack this out? Why don't we do this? I'm going to Slack it out. So this would be live. Now we're inside just this file. I think with the live code pens, code sandboxes, you don't have access to the other files. It's just one particular file here, okay? So I'm in index, so maybe this index file wasn't the file I should be in. It's not the file I want it to be in because that's not where we need to be in. So I'm going to stop.
You can, if you wanted to go back to the files, you just have to click, I think, that file icon.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Sweet. Thank you. So
it looked like we were able to access the other files as well. So.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. So while you're live, you can click that file icon and it'll pop back.
Oh, sweet. All right. So let's swap this. Is this the same live one? Y8? No. So let me select this one out. Okay. So let's go there. This would be cool. I'll go back to the files. Awesome. So cool. So maybe we'll just test this out. See what everyone recalls. So I'm going to go to the form component. What we can see here is the form doesn't have the things that we need, right? Just got the form. Now, I'm going to go back and take a look at the React architecture, because once again, I think the React architecture is key to you understanding what needs to get done. So in our React architecture, I have the app. It has a state and it's passing lists. You know, it has a state, list items, this.props.list items. This is getting passed down to to-do list. And to-do list is spinning off new instances of to-do list items, right? They need to know the to-do, and then that's what we say. This is already in place, okay? Over here on the form, this blue represents, I'm trying to represent it as it hasn't been created yet. So the form needs a state of input, and it needs two methods, handle submit and handle change. Handle submit is going to handle a submit. Handle change is going to handle the user input. So we want to catch. We want a controlled form, right? So we can catch. Every time the user types a key, we catch it, we reset state. That's the constant action there, okay? So if I go back here and I say, all right, I want this form. How about Yoon? Can you add state to the form? Can you click in the form and give me state with a value of input set to an empty string? All right.
I forgot. I was
all right. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's why we're doing this. I want to see input, right? You would just type input.
Input. Okay.
Empty string. Not an array, an empty string.
Oh, empty string.
Yeah, it's an empty string of text. All right. Oh, yeah. And if you're not in there, then don't click inside, because I saw Gustavo, you clicked in, and then all I see are these big, like, I didn't do nothing. See? Gustavo, what are you doing? All right. So now we have the next thing that we need are our supporting methods, right? So how about Connor? You want to jump in? You want to jump in, right? You want to give me a method that is this, right? So let me go back here. We need a handle submit method, and I need you to add a handle submit method, okay? So, yeah. Not Connor, get out of there. Sweet. Okay. And inside the handle submit, what is the thing that we need to do, at least one line of code for handle submit? We need 2 lines of code, but what do we need for at least the one? Well, I like where you're going. Always console log everything, right? Console log saying like handle submit, inside handle submit click, whatever it is to indicate that the thing has been executed. Cool. All right. Gustavo, what's another thing we should add to handle submit to prevent the default? E.prevent default. Awesome. Okay. See? We're getting good. All right. So I'm just going to move this over. I'll tab this over. I'll move this over here. Boom. There we go. All right? Okay. The next method, I'm going to go back and let me take a look at my diagram. And it says, all right, I need a handle change method. Sweet. So, Megan, you want to add a handle change method? Sure. Megan wants to add it. Handle change. Awesome. Everyone's getting great with the fat arrows. We're binding the thing there. Awesome. Sweet. There we go. Now, I want to test this stuff. I mean, if I just go here and I like submit, nothing happens. It refreshes, right? It's not working. So let's try. Let's see. Joey, you want to give it a shot? Joey's up. Joey's up to bat. Can you add an on submit button to the? Can you add an on submit event to the form that causes the handle change method? Okay. For the form element, add an on submit. right. Ooh, what's going on, Joe? You can speak to me. All right. Okay, good. It's a good start, but we need more. You want to phone a friend? You can call anybody else in the room. I might just popcorn it. Yeah, you got to jump off your mic. Popcorn and call anybody you want. Except Abdul. He's got
No. Hi, sorry. My computer's been a bit crashy, so it's kind of popping in and out.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Sorry.
Right. We'll cut you some slack, Joey.
Thank you.
All right. So let's popcorn it over to Abner. Abner, why don't you finish the submit? Bingo, right? And if we enter now, right, the page doesn't refresh. If I go ahead and I open this in a new window just to test everything and go to developer tools and I'll test it out here. If I submit, handle submit. Sweet, it works. That's where we want it to be. Now we need to add a handle change to the input. Rafat, you want to take care of that? You need to add a handle change to the input. Sweet. Okay. I like it. And that means if we do handle change, in handle change, we need to do something, right? Thing that we need to do is update state with this value, right? Who wants to do that? Mega, you want to try? Try your hand at it. Can you update state to include the value that is typed in?
And this would be inside handle submit, right? Or handle change?
Handle change. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's see. Oops.
Yeah. There's some auto IntelliSense. There we go. Okay.
And I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still used to doing it without the previous state.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And you can do it without the previous state. I only kind of emphasize the previous state so that everyone remembers it, but it's not always the thing to do.
Okay, so
This would be fine.
it, and then
Sweet, right? Now, this is fine because there's only one thing. Like the other day we did the logon form and the handle change was dealing with two inputs. The same method was handling that. So we had to know like which one is sending us the data, and then we could target that up here, but we're only doing it with one thing anyway, so it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to tab this over, right? So what if we wanted to confirm that state has this input? What would we do? What if we tried adding the callback to set state? Anyone, Demola, you want to try that? Adding a callback to set state that allows us to see that state has been defined. We don't do it often, so it may not be the kind of thing like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. If it's not in there, where else could we put maybe a console log for set state to see that state has been updated? Any ideas?
Sorry,
That's okay.
I'm not all there. My son is right here in my room, so
Oh, okay, all right.
I apologize.
I'll let you go. I'll let you go with that. All right, here I'll let everyone, just in case no one remembers it. Right, that's the callback that we can add within the set state method. Okay, and here I could just console log and say this is state and say this dot state, right? So that I could see that state's being updated every time. Now, if I go back to the React app, get rid of these error messages, I'm just going to refresh, make sure everything looks good, and say another, see, to do. Okay, so we kind of know that it's working, right? That's the intent. The intent is that this thing is capturing the data, right? Now, I don't see it though. It's capturing it here, right? And I can see it, but we should probably, because it's a controlled form, be responsible for clearing it out. So if I do submit, I'm like, and I submit, we should clear out that data at some point in time on the submit as well, right? But there's one other thing that we should be adding here on the input. What do you think we should add for the input? A controlled form updates state and then passes the values that you're typing back down to the input. Anybody know the key value pair that we should add here with an input?
I think we need a value.
Yeah, so good. Value, right? And value is going to equal this dot state dot input. Okay? This is a true control form. We allow state to update, and then we pass the data back down. And so it's this constant process. You capture, update state, you then pass it down. And state is being updated as many times as you type. So I type, state's been updated, updated, updated. 3 times state's been updated. 3 times this thing has re-rendered itself. Happens really crazy fast. You don't even see it. It's just happening so fast. Okay, now it's good. We updated state, we have it, and then on submit, we would clear the form, right? It's not like we should clear the form. That's what I'm feeling like we should do. Because if I type in another and I submit, right, I'm submitting, the form's not clearing. So who wants to clear the full form? Who we got left? John, you want to clear it? No? All right. Sylvia, you want to give it a shot? How do we clear the form? Here we go. Cool. And then that, I'm just going to tab this over a little bit. Boom. That clears it. So once again, if I do another and I tap, it's good, right? So we're right back. This was last class, right? This was creating the form, passing up. We did the nested object within state. We're not doing that today. We're just back to this single. You know how to do that. We don't have to keep doing it. So we're here. Awesome. Ultimately, at some point in time, we're going to adding buttons. We're going to add click events to these buttons as well, right? I'm going to want to delete the thing at some point in time, right? This clears the form. That it does. Thank you. That's good. You know, that's what
I take a lot of notes.
yeah, that's fine. Usually I try to add some notes. All right. So we actually accomplished this, right? So this is done. So I'm just going to change the color back to, where do I get the color for this? I'm going to try to use this as our like, hey, we got to change something. Where's the color? Here. Black. That's done. And then we have input, and that's done. Awesome. Okay. We are going to have to do a few other things, and that's kind of what we're going to be doing, right? All right. Now let's move on. Let's move on to what we have to get done. We're moving on to lifting state, okay? So what we want to do is create methods in the parent component and pass them down to the child, okay? Here's the reason. I'm going to go back to the to-do list diagram, right? Can form talk directly to to-do list? Are they able to chat with one another? Can it be like forms like, hey, to-do list, what's going on? I just got this thing and I want to pass you this thing. Is that possible? The answer is no. So I'll just help you out. Answer is no, can't do it. They can't talk directly to each other, okay? Data in a React app, I'm just going to put a note here, that data in a React app, insert here, it's missing. Data flows down. It's unidirectional. Now, I'm going to say it's unidirectional in that it flows down. You pass the data down, but you can lift some data up. Okay, it's not the same as like passing it down as a prop. I have to lift it up within a method. I can't pass it up as a method. So when data flows down, React is unidirectional. You update a parent, the parent then triggers a re-render and kind of passes the data down to the other children. So if we add something to form, where does that thing need to go to? Well, we got to get it to to-do list. But our data for the to-dos or the list items is in app. So ultimately what we need to do here is, I'm going to do a little scribble line, is we need to pass the data up here, and then this needs to pass the data back down. Okay? Do a little arrow. Oh, sweet. There we go. Did I not do it? There we go. That's the flow, right? Now the thing that we're passing down now anyway is list items, right? So when I pass this up, I update state, and then a new state causes a re-render, right? So when I do pass it up, I actually have to add the thing to state. I have to push it into this new array of things, right? And then when I push it into a new array of the old this.props list items and the new thing, that triggers a state change. App is like, oh, look, I got new list items and I got a re-render. So it sends the new data down to the to-do list, and the to-do list like, oh, I got a new thing. Let me do the looping thing and like generate the new thing that was added, right? So in order to do that, in order to get this data from here up here, right, we first have to pass down, we have to go the other way, we have to pass down a few methods. Now those methods, once they are passed down, will get executed in app. It's almost like, I don't know, like playing telephone with like the little aluminum can, right? Or is it? I almost compared it to like maybe an envelope. Where I have a letter in an envelope and I pass it to someone and I give it to the mailman. The mailman takes the envelope and brings it to someone. They read it, they write, they put some data back in the envelope and give it back to the mailman who gives it back to me, right? The mailman was just like, I'm here to give you the thing and then you do whatever and you give it back to me. So the envelope became the tool that we use to transfer the information. Okay, I need a way to lift state up to app. Okay, now in order to do that, we have to pass something down that we can execute within the handle submit. A method that we can push down that we can execute in handle submit. So if we wanted to, I'm going to add another text box. And so in state, so here I am, I'm in state. And ultimately, what we need to do is pass down some sort of method, right? And the method is going to be, we're doing handle submit. So we could say a method here like handle, I can even call this handle submit. And we could pass this down, pass this method down to form, okay? Form executes handle submit, and then we can execute it within the context of this. Okay, so pass down a form. It will call this method and pass the user input in as a argument. Okay, it's just a function. Gets an argument, passes it back. Once it's up here, we will then update state in app, right? This causes a re-render, and that element is now included in the array, in the list items array, passed down to to-do list. Okay? It's kind of what we need to do. Does that make sense? Create something, pass it down, update. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is do that. So we're going to go back to this, but first, we're going to do this with the color switcher, right? Our most amazing color switcher app is back in action, and we are going to do the same thing. So let me slack out the color switcher. If you want to code along, code along. If not, you can watch. All right, so I have my color switcher. I have the app, okay? Everything's working fine. I think the form is collecting inputs. It's setting state, it's clearing state, right? If I was to type red, hit enter, it clears it. I know that it's capturing it. Awesome. So in app, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pass something down. I'm going to create a method that will pass, will eventually pass down. All right. So if we're going to pass a method, I said like handle submit, okay? And this is going to be equal to an input, right? Or I'm going to put here a color, because that's what they're going to pass me, right? I'm going to get a color. That's ultimately what's going to get passed to me. And this method, once again, I'm just going to console log here and say handle submit in app. So I know when it's passed and it's clicked or it's submitted, I knew that it's been executed. So if we want to pass that down, well, here's the form. The form doesn't have anything yet being passed down, right? And so we could say here, handle. So, the other one is on submit also. So I think I'm just going to say on submit is equal to this dot handle submit. Okay. Right? I'm passing something down. I want to make sure that this kind of works. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to open up this. I'm going to go to developer tools, make sure nothing's broken, red, boom. Inside handle submit, this is handle change, handle submit. Oh, because we didn't call it yet. I passed it down, but I never called it. So I'm going to go to form. And in form, here's handle submit. How do I get access to handle submit? Well, this dot props, right? That was being passed on submit was the method. So this prop is being passed down from app, right? I'm passing it down as on submit. I could call it whatever I want. On submit from app, if that makes more sense, right? I could even say on submit from app. Doesn't make a difference what I call it, okay? If I go back to form and I'm like, oh, on submit from app, okay, so maybe it helps to indicate where it's coming from. If I go back here and now I clear and I just submit, handle submit in app, right? I also get handle submit, but this handle submit, the first one, is coming from here. Handle submit from form. And this one is what? Handle submit, I'll say from app. Okay, from app. Just keep it consistent. I'll go back here, clear it out. Inside handle submit from form, handle submit from app. Do you see how I just executed a method in a child component, but it got executed in the context of where it was created? Okay, this has to do with scoping and how the passing it down is almost kind of similar to possibly like importing something and providing access to a whole series of functions. Just think if I was to import underscore, the JavaScript library, or Lodash, the library, I could execute those functions within here. Just by importing the JavaScript file, it gives me a bunch of methods that don't exist here by default, but because I'm pointing back to a reference file that has them, I can execute them within the context of that file. The file is really executing them and returning back the value. Okay, that's every time you import a library, that's really what's happening. It gets executed in the library, the actual code, and then it returns back to you that value. We're kind of doing something similar, right? This thing lives here, and yet I'm passing it down to the form, and the form is executing it here. It's calling it. It's actually executing the thing, right? And so if I wanted to, I could pass the values up at this point in time, right? I could pass something up. We did say if this dot state is done, then we could do this. And what if I was to say this dot state dot input? What if I did this? Well, let's see, right? I'm going to go back here. I'll clear this out, and I'll do red. Okay, input. Handle submit from inside app. Oh, because I'm not console logging it in app. I'll just go back here, and I'll say color, right? Because that's what we're passing up. We're passing in a color. Form is taking it as like input, but it's really going to be a color inside of handle submit, because that's what I'm going to be pushing into the array. Let's go back. Clear this out. Red. Boom. Look, handle submit from app, red. I just passed up the value. Okay?
Because you did this after you set input to null, is there a chance that sometimes you'll accidentally write nothing?
So what we probably want to do, I'm glad you brought that up. Now remember this. Why did it work? This is not the best placement for this. You're absolutely right, Gustavo. But why was I able to pass up the input after I set state?
Because it's asynchronous. You don't always know the order of events that happen on a page like this.
Exactly. So this is not the place to put it, right? The place to put it would have been above state, okay? You don't want to pass it after the form's been cleared. You want to pass it before and then clear the form, right? Because if I clear the form and I try to pass it, for some fluke, it's actually run synchronously for some fluke, and then input is empty at that point in time. But the fact that we were able to pass the value up meant that this thing took longer to execute. That JavaScript was like, I can't wait for that thing to finish, so I'm going to do my thing. I'm just going to run the next line of code. Okay? And that's kind of what happened here with this. It ran the next line of code. And so this was executed. Cool. Right? And now we have app up here. Right? Now that we have color, what do we need to do? I have color. What should I do with color? I don't know. Probably add it to the array, right? I'm thinking update state and add the new color to the colors array, right? Seems like the natural process, the natural flow of things here. Okay, so let's give that a shot. I'm going to say this dot state, right? I'm going to say prev state. Okay. Now I'm doing prev state. Can anyone tell me why I chose to opt for the prev state here? Anyone have ideas?
You're going to need a spread operator on your colors array.
Exactly. So pre-state, remember how like this dot state or this e dot target dot event wasn't accessible in here because of a scoping thing we're airing out the other day, and so we had to like do something like, I don't know, you know, const name. Don't do this. I'm just showing you. Const name was equal to e dot target, and then we had to go down here and do something like name, right? We had to create it out here, grab the value, and then update it in here because we didn't have access to this inside of here. If we did this like this, it broke, okay? E within the scope doesn't exist, and it can't look up for whatever reason. So I want pre-state because I want the previous state, and so we are going to say colors array, right? And we could do dot, 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 prev state dot colors array, right? Colors, lowercase array. That's every color that existed in the array before and color. All right? I'm adding the color to the array. So now if I do red, oh, what happened? Let me see. Oh, what do I do here? What just happened?
I think you said state instead of set state.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Looking out. Set state. Okay. I thought it was pre. Okay, sweet. Let's try this out again. There we go. Now, it's white, though, right? Any color that I type in here. So the issue with this particularly, and the flaw in this design is, if I go to color list item, it gives it a class name of the color, right? But that class name, I can't assume every possible class name that's going to exist for colors, right? So this isn't really the best option for this particular design, right? What would be a better CSS property? Who's got a better CSS property that I could use that would meet my needs here? I know everyone's like a
You're talking about setting
Could you use
an
a-
inline style?
what's that?
You're talking about setting an inline style?
Yeah. So, but what style would I set? I can't add it as a class. So, what's the style that I would set it to?
So like background.
Yeah, background.
And set it.
Exactly. So we could set it to background. So let's do that. I'm going to go here and say the color is this. So I can say, instead of color now, I could have just done this. Style is equal to, and for style is 2 curly braces. I'm going to add the 2 curly braces. I'll explain why. I don't want to go too far into styles today. I just kind of wanted to show you one little style. And if I said background, I could say background color. I have to do camel case for this. And we could say props dot color, right? Let's see. See how they all have colors now, right? No class names, but colors. And if I do red, I get red. If I do blue, I get blue. Okay? Does that make sense? You're not going to need to do this in the to-do list. But if you wanted to interact with the to-do list and change something based on user interactions, we could add inline styles like this. There's like 4 different ways to like manipulate styles. And I'm just adding them inline here because I can't assume I could create all of the classes for colors.
If you do it this way, Joe, can you type in the hexadecimal value for
Yeah.
color?
Yeah. I could do, I don't know, CCFF12. Boom. Right? I could type in RGB. 155, 155. I think this is like a gray. No, I misspelled it. RGB. Boom. You can type in whatever, any other colors. It's like, I think there's HSL, HLA. I don't know. It's like a few other ones that I use. Right, RGBA if we wanted to add opacity, right? You could do whatever you want. It accepts a color. A background color property is just a background color property. It doesn't matter what you give it. A name, a hex, RGB, RGBA, HSA, HSL, whatever it is. Okay? Does that make sense? Pretty fairly intuitive, right? Now, if I go back to, here's my diagram, right? This is my color switcher diagram. Now, it had state, and I had to pass down methods. And the method that I passed down was, what did I pass down? On submit from submit, a handle submit is what I passed down, right? I created an on submit from app. So I'm going to go back and be like, all right, I created a method, and the method that I created, I only really needed one, was a handle, was it handle submit, right? It was a on submit. Oh yeah, handle submit is what I created. Handle submit is what I created, right? And that was to pass down to form, okay? And then form is getting a new prop, right? So form here didn't have any props before. I got this little prop over here, so I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to move this over, and then I can say maybe move these methods down. I want to have the methods down, and I want to have the prop right here. And the prop now has a prop, and the prop is called, what did I call it again? I called it on submit from app. So this is a new prop that is called on submit from app, and it's set to a method, right? It's set to some function, okay? It's set to the handle submit function that was passed down, okay? So this prop now has a handle on this method up here, okay? This handle submit is not the same as this handle submit. A lot of times you're going to see things like named the same, okay? So I created it. Oh, I'm just going to change the colors here. So now I know I've done it, and now I'm done. What I'm trying to show you with the diagram is when you start working on your own project, having this diagram is going to help you see what's getting passed down, what's executing, what's maybe being passed up. Give yourself as many self-explanatory notes as you can. Write stuff, print it out, carry it around with you. Like there's going to be a lot, possibly a lot more components than this, and you're going to get lost in what you passed down and how far, okay? Because in the end, the next thing we would need to do is click on a color to change the background image of this box, right? And changing the background image of this box is changing the background image of which component? Which component has that box? What does everything live in right here?
The app?
Yeah, the app. So that would essentially mean what? I would need to pass or create another method in app and pass it to color list. That passes it to color list item. Color list item executes it, and that gets executed in the context of app. And then I can execute a method that's like, oh, change the background color of the main HTML element, and then we'd see the color change, okay? We're not gonna do that right now because that's outside of the scope of just like you moving on to the to-do list. I kind of want you to be able to work on the to-do list as well, okay? How do we feel about this? Is this like a huge jump from the last class? I don't think so, right? It's just kind of a natural progression, right? Being able to pass something down, which you've done with props up to this point, but now you're able to lift it back up. That's really key in React. React is unidirectional in the regards that data is passed down, but you can pass up data and trigger a state change, because that's what we did with this. We updated state, and that pushed as many colors as you want out, okay? Sweet. So, that being said, passing methods down to the child. Here we go. Here is, I'm going to slack out your starter code. Okay. Now, what I'll do is I will do the breakout rooms. I think they work well. I'll do the breakout rooms for the first one. Maybe the second lab we can just work on our own, but I'll randomly choose the breakout rooms. And what I want you to do is exactly what we just did. So we have this form, and you need to take the date here. You need to go into app, create a function to pass it down. You need to go into form, on submit, pass it back up the value, and then you should see the new to-do item right here. Okay? That's what I want you to do. See the new to-do item. All on the same page? Yes, Joe, we are all on the same page. This is awesome. All right, so let me get the breakout rooms. Okay? Breakout rooms. Let's see, 2 to 3 participants. Randomly choose the breakout rooms. There you go. 2 to 3 participants. Actually, you know what? There we go. I think I need more breakout rooms so I can assign up doing this. All right, breakout rooms. So we got the breakout rooms. I'm going to move, just let me move a few people around to breakout room 6. Okay, actually, you know what? Let me recreate this. I want 2 to 3 participants. Yes, recreate all the breakouts. Here we go. Recreate. Okay, we got 1. All right. Let me just move myself and Abdul to another room no one's in. Move this to 10. Gustavo goes there. 1. Abdul goes to 16. There we go. Again, we'll go into 10. Celia will go into 6. Again, hopefully this is as random as I can get, but I am kind of moving people around manually. Let's try 7 here. Charlie's going to go to 1. Almost there. 1. Jean is going to go to 7. There we go. I think I got 3, and then Joe's going to go to 12. I think I got everyone. That's good. So you got 2 to 3 per room. Open up all rooms. Let's take about 15 minutes for this. Okay, I'll slack out. There we go. Jump into your breakout rooms. So yeah, I got to make you, forget to make you the co-host. All right, your co-host, Abdul. In case you need to jump in the other rooms. And let me let everyone know. Quick on thumbs up. So what did I say, 10, 15 minutes? Yeah, 9:05, right? Let's take about 15 minutes. Complete. Complete. At 9:05. Click on thumbs up. Yeah, you're done. There you go. All right. Sweet.
I'll jump in after like 5 minutes so they can get set up.
Yeah, let them get their thing going. Close mode session has ended. Close mode. Sweet. I love the too difficult, right? Once again, it's kind of follow the thing. I did the thing. Follow the thing, right?
Wait, I'm in class.
Okay. So why don't we do this? It's 9:06. Why don't we take our 10-minute break, and then we'll come up. I'll go through the solution, and maybe we'll apply the next level of like deleting the thing and passing that thing that we want to delete up, and how would we delete something? Okay. All right. So 9:06. Come back at 9:16, and then we'll discuss the lab. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, resume recording. Ooh, another lookout. All right. So I'm passing it down here. Handle submit from app. That's the method name that I'm giving it. And I'm passing down handle submit. I go to form. And in form, within the handle submit method, just move this over, we call this.props.handle submit from app, and we pass it the thing. Okay, we pass it the value. By passing it the value, we're passing it up, we set the input to nothing, and then it all works, right? New to do, boom. Okay. So how do we feel about that? Any questions, concerns? Seems pretty straightforward and intuitive, right? All right. Let's pass it down. We pass it down one level. So here's the to-do app, and you passed it up. You passed a method down to form. It passed it up, and then it passed it down to to-do list, right? Well, what if we needed to? I'm in color switcher now. What if I needed to pass something all the way down to color list item, like maybe passing the color back up? So if I actually had to pass something down, whoop, not that. We want to do the scribble. What if I wanted to pass something here and then pass something here? Okay. One of the issues with React, that's the direction, is that in order to, and there's workarounds around this. There's things like context that we'll get into later on. But if I need to get a method down to color list item, well, as of right now, with what we know, it has to go through color list in order to get to color list item. Okay? So we have to make a decision on how and what are we going to call it. So what would the method be here? So in app, I have my methods over here, right? So I was like, all right, I have a handle submit, right? Well, what kind of method do I want to create here? What's the name? I'm going to call it handle, let me see, handle change color. I want to do this, or actually, when we have the handle submit, we could do it. It could be all in here, right? I mean, but I feel like handle submit is the thing that's being passed here, so we don't want to do that, right? So I'm going to say handle change color, right? Pass down to color list item, right? That's ultimately where we want to pass it down to. It has to go from app down to color list, down to color list item. So that means props here in color list is going to get a new prop, right? So I'll just do this. This thing is, I'm going to get rid of this arrow. It's annoying me. This, we need to add a new prop here. So I got colors array, that's being passed down. And we need another prop. And it depends on what we call the method that we're going to be passing down. Okay? So I'm going to call it the same thing. I'm going to say handle change color is equal to, right? We're going to get this, and that's going to be the function that was passed down, right? Handle change color is the same name as this. So we're passing this down, and that's set, to a function, okay? Function that's this function here, okay? If we pass that down, we get this down now as a prop, right? It gets passed down here as the same thing. So let me just move this up a little bit. And so this also gets passed down. I'm going to keep it the same name so I know the naming context of these things as they go. And now I have this also passed down, right? So I'm passing the method down here. I'm passing it down here. This executes it, and then it's going to lift up, and then handle change color is going to do something, right? We want to change the color. It's got to do something. So if we go to our color switcher, right? So handle change color, that's what I need to create. Go back to color switcher, and I'll say, here I'm in app. Here was handle submit. So let's do handle change color, right? It's going to take in a color, and then we'll do something with that color, right? For now, I'm just going to say console log inside handle change color from app, okay? I go to the color list. That's the first place I need to pass it down to. So I'm going to say, all right, handle change color is equal to this dot handle change color. Okay, move that over. I'm passing it down to the first place, color list. Okay, so I go to color switcher. That method gets passed to here first. Then we'll pass it down here. So if I'm in the to-do list, right? Oh, I'm sorry, color switcher. Here, I know it's being passed down. So I can pass it down even further to the color list item. Just break this up here. And I could say handle change color is equal to this dot props dot handle change color. Right? What happened here? Let it break. Handle change color. Oh, no. We can call it whatever we want. Did I misspell it? React doesn't have access. Let me see. Let me get rid of this. Just make sure. All right. So I'm going to go back to app just to make sure I did not misspell it. Handle change color is this dot handle change color. That's this. All right. Okay. I'm going to grab this. Maybe I misspelled it. Color list. All right. We should be able to do this. This dot. Oh, why is it not? Oh, so you know what the error is? Here we go.
This?
Yeah. So I was using, so the whole time I was doing this dot props dot handle change color, and this is a functional component. It's not a class-based component. So there is no context of this. Like, it doesn't know this. What do you want me to do with this thing? I don't know what to do. Okay. So now I'm passing it down. So color list item now has access to the color, right? But here in color list, when we do this, right, and we click on something, so this is going to be color list item. If I go down to color list, this is the color list, and here's the LI. So what do we need to add here? Do this. Any ideas? Look, what am I doing? Click, 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 click. Oh, click the thesaurus. Right? What am I doing? Here, I'm going to go.
Click.
Yeah, right? Click, 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 click. That on click needs to be on the actual element, right? So here I would say on click is equal to props dot handle color, right? What did I call it? Handle change color. Handle change color, right? All right, so let's take a look. Ooh. Color list item. So the fact that I'm doing this now in app, let's just see. Let me take a look and just make sure that this thing is working. Open this up. Okay. I just want to see if the clicks are working, right? I passed this far. Inside handle change color from app. Look at this. I passed it all the way down. Okay. Now I have to do what? I have to pass that thing back up, right? I have to pass the value back up. So calling it like this alone, I'm not passing anything back up. So how do I refactor this? To pass something back up. Any ideas?
You make handle change color take a parameter.
Correct. And so I need to use the fat arrow. This kind of goes to the question you had posted last time. If I was to do this, props.color, say I was to do that, right? I go back here and I look how my click events don't work anymore. They were working just before, right? Look, it ran 4 times because 1 for each. But now look, every time I click, nothing happens. So this goes back to Gustavo's question, like, if I just write it like this, what you're saying is, I want you to execute this method when the page loads. Immediately execute it, and then we have no way to execute it again after. In order to create some sort of pause mechanism, we have to turn this into or leverage the callback, okay? We need a callback, and an anonymous function becomes our callback. And all this says is like, don't do anything unless it's clicked. When it's clicked, trigger the thing. That's really what this callback does. It says when the thing is clicked, trigger it. Okay, so let's go back here. I'll refresh the page. We should not see 4 of those things running. And if every time we click, now we see that it's being passed, right? I still don't know if the color is being passed, so I'll go up to app and say, all right, color change from app, color. Awesome. Let's go back. Just refresh it again. Boom. Light blue, light green, light gray. Right? I should be able to add red, and this would be red. Okay. Clear this. If I do green, then it would be green. Right? It's all dynamic now. The minute you add something, you update state. State triggers a whole like slew of things to happen. And one of the things is to pass down the array, loop over, create the new element, give it its event listeners, whatever it needs, it's able to do that. Now, I'm able to do that by changing the color, and I pass the color up. Instead of changing the color, what you're going to be doing is delete. Oh, close the modal. Is deleting, right? I don't want you to just pass to do item up there. I want you to do something with it. And really the only thing that we can do right now with what we know is like, what if I wanted to remove the thing? So I'm just going to kind of like, instead of changing color, I'm going to just remove the color for now. Okay? We'll walk through changing the color. But what would I do if I wanted to remove the color? How would we remove something from an array? And this is where, this isn't React. This is just your ability to do JavaScript.
We kind of did it in a little bit in the lab, but we create a temporary array, splice it, and then
Okay.
the state.
So maybe we could say, I don't know, const temp colors array, right, is equal to what? This dot state dot colors array. Are we doing this?
Probably going to have to be let because you're changing it.
No, only for primitives like booleans and strings and ints do you need to do that. Arrays you can change with const.
Arrays you can mutate, but we definitely don't. Arrays you can push and remove things using const. You can't reset. When you have a const variable, I cannot reset it to a new array, but I can mutate the existing elements inside of the array. So that would be possible. I don't want to touch this dot state, so I probably want to do something like, I don't know, there's different ways to do this, but I could slice it, and this creates a temporary array. I take all the elements that were in colors array and move them into this temp array. Okay, this is one way to create or emulate this array. Another way to do this, I mean, we could do this, right? If I had this, I have the array, I still need to slice it. If you wanted to, maybe you're splicing it too, right? Splicing it would like effectively look inside the thing, grab the thing at a position and remove it. There's another way to do this though, okay? I don't want to do this. What if we did this? What if I used filter? Does anyone know filter? The 3 methods that you should learn with JavaScript, that you have to master with JavaScript and React, is map, I'm going to do map, filter, reduce. Those are the 3 looping methods that you must master for JavaScript. Hands down, in general, you'll need those, okay? Map, oh, I forgot. The other one is for each, okay? For each map filter, and reduce, it's really cool what it does, but it's a bit more advanced. Like these three act really similar with each other, and reduce adds just a slight complexity. Nothing too crazy. So filter is something that filters. That's really what it does. It's like, it's an array method that allows you to go through every element in the array and return back a subset of things in the array. Okay. So it takes in a callback. I'm going to say the element, I'm just going to abbreviate. I actually use D. From the world of D3, D is data. And I'm just going to say data and index. I'll call it data and index for now, so you kind of know. And I'm going to take it to another line, okay? So I can use the fat arrow in here. And what we can do here is it returns back an array, and I can store that in this temps array, okay? So filter is going to touch every element. So in order for us just to kind of test this out, I really want you to understand this. So instead of doing this, I'm just going to go to something really quickly. Just do, I'm going to do just a new REPL here. I want you to kind of see what happens, okay? Clean without all of this other stuff, right? So I'm going to say, I don't know, let array equal to, or let colors equal to an array of colors, right? Blue, green. Just let's get 3 colors. All right, awesome. Now I want to loop over that and say let filtered colors, right, is equal to colors dot filter. I'm going to pass in the data and the index position of the element. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is this, because I just want you to see it first, that if I console log data and index, I want you to see what's here. Blue, can everyone see that? So the element blue and its position, 0 in the array. The element green and its position in the array. Element red and its position, right? I just want you to be able to see that the data and the index represent the element and its position in the array. Now, filter says, hey, you want to filter something? Well, you have to tell me what you want to filter. And now what I can say here is I can say, hey, return where data is not equal to the color, I don't know, how about red? Okay? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to now do filtered colors, and let's see what happens. Look, blue and green. Okay? If I change this to be data is equal to red, watch what this turns into, red. It's just a filter method on an array. It comes with the array. Arrays have these methods, and what it allows you to do is filter over the thing. That's all it is. And you can say, find this thing, exactly that thing, and return back me the one thing, or return back everything that's not the thing. And then you get a subset of the array. Okay? So if we take these principles and I go back to Color Switcher app, right, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to return where the data is not equal to the color. I should get a subset array that does not include that, right? And I'm not messing with state. All I'm doing is grabbing state and filtering it, but I'm not touching it. I'm just running it. This doesn't mutate the original array in state. I'm just storing it as this temporary thing, right? I could even do this. Watch. I think I'm going to do this. Colors, just to show you. This might make it colors array, right? This name and this name are the same. Now watch. is not equal to color. Here's color, right? That should work. All right. This dot set state. I don't need pref state here. I really don't. I could just do this. Watch. Colors array. Why can I do this? Well, I hope I can do that. Look, can I do that? You better believe I can. Why? Why does this work the way I have it written?
Because in your state it has the same name, so you can just use a shorthand.
Exactly. So that's just kind of like object shorthand. I don't have to do colors array as colors array. Right? So, you know, be meticulous with these naming conventions. I could have done temp colors array, and then if this was, you know, if I did call it temp, you know, colors array, then I'd have to go down here and be like, all right, man, I decided to do this, and now I have to do that. It'll still work, but now I have to do this. So I prefer to keep it semantically named so I could just do the abbreviation, and this would work. Okay? Sound good? This may be new to you, but you have a working example, so you kind of know how to make it work in your particular assignment. So we'll jump back into the breakout rooms.